Earlier this year, Emily and I went on holiday with our friends to Greece. They'd brought their 2 kids along with them, Hadders and Blake. Both of them were a dream to be around, full of all the inquisitiveness a 3-year-old and a 1.5-year-old have when in a foreign country and with a group of their parents' friends. I think my mate Dane clocked that I was spending loads of time reading Hadders' books to him. He'd be popped on my lap, dribbling and pointing at dinosaurs on the page. "That's a stegosaurus!" Dane even snapped some video of me going full dad mode with my friends' kids, reading more books, walking them around the gardens of the villa and looking at their favourite tractors. I loved every minute of it. Little did I know that Emily was about 10 hours into her pregnancy, following a lovely meal and a few drinks on the warm terrace with our friends the night before. 3 weeks later, she told me that she was late and that a pregnancy test had come back positive. There was a kind of stunned silence in the kitchen that day. We hadn't thought we could get pregnant, we'd never tried, but in the last 2 months had stopped taking precautions, kind of hoping that something would happen. And that something happened very quickly. We had a 9-week scan confirming a tiny heartbeat and a weird blob that was inside her. Later that day, I was at work and just had this overwhelming urge to tell someone, anyone, I'm going to be a dad. I was almost about to stop some random passerby, but fortunately sanity prevailed and I checked myself. We hadn't planned on telling anyone until the 12-week scan, that's what seems to be the thing to do, and it was difficult to hide from our close friends and family the fact that Emily wasn't having a glass or 5 with dinner on a Friday night out. I did tell my best mate Dane though. He's just got married and at 10 years younger than me, he's about to embark on the next stage of his life. The week before the 12-week scan, I'd taken my own dad to a whiskey distillery tour, a present for Father's Day. We walked about the distillery, had a few tastings of malt, and then after briefly had a pint in the local pub nearby. On the way home, Dad said that, "I've had a great day today. Just think when you're older, without a son, you won't have days like this. It could be lonely." I twisted the steering wheel and dug deep, almost about to blurt out the news. I cryptically replied, "It might happen sooner than you think, Dad." He turned in his seat. "Really?" But I managed to divert his attention to the colossal amount of traffic on the roads these days. The 12-week scan confirmed all was currently going well. The scanner lady asked if we wanted to know the sex. This was early on, and we didn't expect to find out. She said she was 95% confident it was a boy. We left clutching our scan photos and decided to go public at our 10-year anniversary party that weekend. Telling your family, especially your parents, that you're expecting a child is a very special moment, and I'm glad we did it in a way that I'll fondly remember forever. In our garden on a hot summer's weekend with friends, family and a big barbecue. My old man was chuffed, Emily's mum cried, as did mine, and my brother quipped that, "Your life's fucked, mate." He's already got 2 children and has a lot more grey hair than I have. The penny dropped for the slow amongst us why Emily hadn't been drinking a glass of Prosecco with everyone else. We're now well over halfway, and all being well, I should meet my son sometime in February or March. It sounds cliched, but all I want is for him to be healthy. One thing I've noticed is that I'm now looking at the world in a different way. I take less notice of the news, but at the same time I'm more worried than ever by what's happening in our country. I'm not sure I want my son to grow up in a place where people openly praise the massacre of innocent young teenagers at a rave, or families slaughtered in their homes, or babies cooked alive in ovens in front of their parents. I don't want my child to live in a world where it's fine for that thing to happen to someone purely because of some other slight in history. Every innocent death on either side is a tragedy. That's what I want him to understand. And I'm not sure I want my child to go to a school where they teach him routinely that by dint of his skin colour he is a racist, has some perceived privilege, that he's at the bottom of the pile socially or on the woke scale. I don't want him to be taught that he can change his gender just because of his feelings. In fact, I don't want him to be taught that his feelings even matter to other people, because they don't and they shouldn't. I should only hope to teach him to understand himself, why he thinks what he does, why he's sometimes happy, and why he's sometimes sad, how to deal with those emotions and how to communicate them with his friends and his family. I want him to understand that facts matter. Feelings come second. I don't want him to think that he deserves everything he wants, whenever he wants it, because he has feelings and wants something. I don't want him to grow up thinking that everyone who has an opinion contrary to his must be shut down, spat upon, sacked, and destroyed. I never want him to say to someone, "You can't say that." I want him to know that he'll learn far more about life by failing and making mistakes. Only then will he know what success, achievement, and happiness is. I want him to know that the path to a feeling of true happiness lies not in convincing yourself that you're oppressed or that you're owed something better in this life, but that it lies in your own hands by using them to create a better world. His life will only be better if he works to create and build it that way. The feeling of achievement from actually doing something good, like going to work and providing for yourself, going on a long walk, fixing a bike, writing a song, cutting the grass, being part of your local community, seeing your friends, is real happiness. The smug feeling of calling someone you don't like a gammon or being horrible to someone on Twitter is not an achievement, creates nothing, and is therefore not happiness. And who wants to pursue that? Above all, I want him to know that Emily and I will be there for him, to love and guide him as best we can for the rest of our lives. I also want him to know that all this goes out of the window after the third nappy change at 3 a.m. in the morning. Above all, I want him to know that I'm his parent and not his friend. This strange speech, delivered while I create something from scratch with my own hands, with the warm sense of contentedness that entails, might come across as overly pessimistic and bleak. Trust me, I'm not feeling bleak at all. I can't wait to get started. But I'm sure I'm not the only prospective parent who has these thoughts. What is the world coming to? Will my child be safe? Will they be brainwashed by the media into being a self-obsessed, puny excuse of a human being, going on every march and protest because that's how you improve the world? It's then that I realise that it's actually not my problem, but my child's. All I can do is make the small world around them a better place, because by the time he's a young man and I'm an old one, it will be his world, not mine, and therefore his responsibility. Therefore, I will try at every turn to help my child become more independent, ready for the time when I'm not around anymore, equipping him with the internal strength and knowledge to go it alone when I'm gone. That is true love. Roll on February, mate. I can't wait to meet you.